Hey guys, I hope you're having a great week. I'm so very excited to see you all on Thursday. I hope you all can make it. Okay, chapter 37, a chicken, a wolf, and a problem. Because it's Fantastico Friday, Mr. Daniels has planned a puzzle for us to solve. He draws some squiggly lines from top to bottom on the board and tells us it's a river. Then he proves he is the worst artist ever by drawing a chicken, a wolf, and a bag of grain on one side of the water. Mr. Daniels, did you draw that with your eyes closed? Oliver asks. No offense, but that's terrible. He laughs. I'm not offended, Oliver. I have eyes to see it. And then he looks at me. We're not all wired to be gifted artists. Then he adds a little boat, which looks a lot like a banana, on the bank of a river. Okay, he says, here is your problem to solve. You need all three of these items across the river, but you can only take one item at a time in the boat. You can't leave the wolf alone and the chicken because the chicken will become lunch. You can't leave the chicken with the grain or the grain will become lunch. So, how do you get all three items across the river? Remember, only one item in the boat at a time. Easy, Oliver yells. You just have to take the chicken first. What happens after that? Then you take the grain. But what will happen to the grain when you get back for the wolf? After a couple seconds, Oliver drapes himself over his desk. Mr. Daniels pats Oliver on the back. It's okay, kiddo. It's supposed to be hard. Mr. Daniels turns to Suki. Any idea? She puts her pointed finger on her chin. If you take grain first... if you take the wolf... She sighs and shrugs. I don't know. Albert's eyebrows are so scrunched up they look like they'll cover his eyes. Take a few minutes and try to solve this on your own. Then we'll talk about it in a bit. I can't figure it out. No one can. Most kids have drawn a river and the animals like Mr. Daniels did. After a while, the kids start talking to each other. I'm surprised when he doesn't tell us to be quiet while we keep trying to solve it. I tear off 3 pieces of the paper and I draw the chicken on the first, the grain on the second, and the wolf on the third. I move them around, back and forth, across the river. The class is loud now. I pick up my 3 pieces and ask Mr. Daniels if I can work in the hallway because of the noise. Sure, go ahead. I'm out there for a few minutes, moving my pieces around when Shay and Jessica come out. They sit across the hall from me. I guess they came out to work here too. This is dumb, Jessica says. Tell me about it, Shay answers. Who cares about chickens and wolves or whatever? Do you know the answer, Allie? Jessica asks. Why are you asking her? Of course she doesn't know, Shay says. She's whispering something to Jessica, and soon after, Shay is holding up signs with words. Can you read this, Allie? I try to ignore them. I'm not going to let her see me upset. I remember, life with Shay is like playing chess. Don't get flustered, don't make mistakes. Aw, you can't read it, can you? The baby voice doesn't bother me as much as the words themselves. I try to concentrate on solving the problem. Shay moves closer to me. You are so stupid, Allie. You know Mr. Daniels is only nice to you because he feels sorry for you. Come on, Shay, let's go back inside, Jessica squeaks. Don't come on me, Shay snaps. Whose side are you on? I'm on yours, Jessica says. But it isn't the sound of loyalty, it's the sound of fear. I stand up, go in the classroom, and go to the corner behind Mr. Daniels' desk. It's hard for me to push the sound of Shay's voice out of my head, but I remind myself that just because someone says it doesn't make it true. I concentrate on the 3 pieces of paper, the chicken, the wolf, and the grain. I move the pieces of the paper around on the floor. It takes me a while, but I realize you need to take more than 3 trips. You need to take the chicken and then the grain. But then take the chicken back with you and leave it while you take the wolf. Then you leave the wolf with the grain and go back for the chicken. I leap up. I got it. Keisha and Albert are surprised. So am I. Mr. Daniels comes over and I whisper the answer. Impressive work, Allie. He says I can go around and help others for the remaining minutes. Allie, Max says in a loud whisper, what's the answer? Come tell us how you did it. By now, Shay and Jessica have come back in, and they see me helping Max. When I swing by her, Shay says in a low voice, You're still a loser, Allie. A total and complete loser. But Jessica smiles a bit at me. Mr. Daniels calls us back to our seats. Okay, that was a 2-part assignment. The first was to solve the puzzle. The second was to see who would stick with it. Who would work on it until it was solved. Congratulations to the few of you that did. If you are one of the many that gave up and started talking to your friends about soccer and other things, I want you to consider that no matter how smart you are, how success is reached with hard work too. I can't believe it. My experience with endless frustration and having to work on things for so long actually paid off. I guess maybe I'm having trouble is not the same as I can't. Chapter 38. So, Fantasticos, Mr. Daniels says, I've told you about the nominating a class president for our first ever school-wide student government. Do we have our first nomination? Jessica raises her hand. I nominate Shay. Shay looks back at her and turns forward. She looks like she's ready for her crown. Okay, good. Another nomination? No one. Come on, we can't have an election with only one name. I wait, glancing around. I know there will be no more names because Shay has made it known that Mr. Daniels will first announce the election, that anyone who runs against her will regret it. In fact, their children and their children's children will regret it, and she can actually do something like that. Nope, there were no more names. Albert raises his hand. Whoa, Albert, way to be brave. I glance back at Shay, whose A's are now little slits. But then Albert just asked to go to the bathroom. After waiting and prodding, Mr. Daniels finally says, I'll draw a name out of the hat or tell the council that we don't have a representative. Come on, folks, step up. Another wait. Then Shay raises her hand. Well, Shay, this is good sportsmanship. Who would you like to nominate? She cracks a smile. I nominate Allie Nickerson. Wait, no. Did she say me? I look back at her, staring, while Mr. Daniels compliments her again. And then it hits me like a boulder. Of course she wants to win, so she nominated me, a surefire loser. Is that okay, Mr. Daniels asked me. Can I say no? Yeah, you can say no, but I think you should run. I really, really want to say no, just not to him. Okay, I'll do it, I guess. Good, he says. Now both of you will need to say a few words tomorrow, and the voting will follow. Okay, I get to write a speech, Shay says to Jessica. Then I hear her whisper, I am terrified. I can't write a speech. After school, Mr. Daniels is apologizing for not being able to help me today because he has a class at the college. However, he suggests that I just be honest about why I want to be president of the class. He asks if my mom can work with me tonight. I tell him that she will. I know she would in a heartbeat, but I would never ask her to help with this. It would just get her hopes up. I figure I should write something down if Shay is going to. I'll look like a baby with no speech. So I sit down at our dining room table with a blank piece of paper, all bright white and staring at me like it's making my head hurt. I want to ask my mom for help so bad, but she knows I'm running for president of the class. She'll get excited, and she'll want it even more than me. I'm afraid to want it. But my mind movie shows me at the front of the class and Mr. Daniels congratulating me, and I have to admit that I really would like it. I pick up the pencil and concentrate really hard. When I write, I press the paper too hard, but I can't help it. It makes my hand hurt. I try to spell as best as I can, and it takes me about an hour and a half to write 2 paragraphs. I finally go to bed, praying for a high fever, the kind of sickness the whole town talks about, the kind of sickness that Albert would find interesting, a good reason not to show up. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow.